What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another night topic of Jiu-Jitsu life with Uncle Mike. I forgot to grab something. Let me grab some shit. The first time ever I actually write something down and then I forgot it. I'm just going to cover real quick with you how my topics are going to start going so you can know when you might want to tune in to watch my show. Monday, which is today, we are going to cover injuries and how to address them. So Monday nights will be injury talk. Okay? So if you got some shit that's bothering you, contact me and or comment, and we'll address it on Monday nights. Okay? Okay, moving on. Tuesday, we'll be talking about old school jiu-jitsu, position and theory. Okay? That'll be more one of my fun topics. Wednesday night, actually this might be more fun. I'm just going to rant. I'm going to rant about the jiu-jitsu community, everything. Thursdays, so you get the idea. There's going to be a topic almost every night, except the weekends. I'm going to start taking the weekends off unless I really got something I want to cover. So Thursdays are going to be white belt motivation and some of my old stories. So if you're a white belt, tune in, because Thursdays we will be talking about some shit to keep you motivated, to keep you on the mat, maybe even some stuff to keep you safe. Okay? And then Friday is going to be a chill night. I'm going to be talking about the jiu-jitsu lifestyle for the average guy and how to bring balance into your life. Okay, so let's jump right into tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is going to be about an injury. Someone actually reached out to me and asked about some elbow issues they were having. So the topic will be elbow pain in BJJ. Okay? So, a lot of factors that can contribute to elbow pain. Let's just talk about the mechanics of the elbow. The elbow is a flexor and it's an extensor. Okay? Really simple. And I'm going to keep this as little medical terminology as possible and just talk in layman's terms, so this is stuff you can really go with. Okay, and again, I'm not a physician, so if you have things that are really injured, you have bones popping out, go see somebody. Or if you're like most of us that don't have insurance, hit me up and I'll show you how to put shit back together. Okay, so again, here's your elbow, right? Let's address your condyles. You have your lateral epicondyle. This is the anatomical position, by the way. You have your lateral epicondyle, which is right here. You have your medial epicondyle, which is right here. Okay? Common problems with lateral epicondylitis, also known as tennis elbow. Other common problems with the medial condyle, known as golfer's elbow. Okay? You don't have to play golf, you don't have to play tennis to have these problems. So let's talk about tennis elbow. That's what I'm going to call it. Lateral epicondylitis, tennis elbow. You can find a lot of things you can do for this. What are some contributing factors that are causing this? Well, they really don't know. They really don't. Even the treatments that we have today go anywhere from physical therapy, go from the RICE theory, rest, ice, compression, elevation. You have cortisone injections, anti-inflammatories, and then worst case you have surgical procedures that can be done where they can remove scarring of the tendon. So a lot of times when somebody has this problem, and again we're focusing on lateral epicondylitis. Medial epicondylitis is very similar, so we can almost talk about the same thing, just different condyles. When you have this problem, you are going to notice that your grip is starting to become very affected. It just fucking hurts, man. I have a little bit of tennis elbow right now. I have traditional, true tennis elbow. It's all right here, medial condyle. It's affecting into my forearm. It's affecting my grip. Things feel really stiff. So if you go to a therapist or you go online, they're going to say, something's probably imbalanced. You need to work on stretching. You need to stretch your flexors. So you're going to do this idea, right? You're going to need to flex your extensors as well. Okay? Well, guess what? You probably didn't develop tennis elbow from tennis. And you probably didn't develop it from sitting at your computer on your mouse all day in this position or at the keyboard, right? You probably developed it from grabbing the collar really tight, from always pulling, right? If you're a striker, you like to punch, that probably didn't create the problem, but that probably contributed to the problem. Okay, so there's a lot of factors. Okay, now I'm sorry this video is going to get a little lengthy, but it's because it has to. It has to cover detail. So let's just cover what you need to address. If this sounds like your problem, if you're having issues with grabbing stuff, especially like lifting like this because you feel all the pain right in the bone. Even the bone itself will tend to feel bruised. It's going to be like, God damn, that's sore, right? You need to start working the muscles around it, all the way down to the wrist, okay? So what I'll do a lot of times throughout the day, is because my arm bothers me, I'll stretch it, but this doesn't really do shit at all. Sounds good, but that's not really what's happening here. I need to start stripping through the forearm muscles. A lot of times too, there's a lot of muscles that go from our hand all the way and attach to here, right? So there's a lot of meat for you to work through. And if you got meaty arms, you're going to have to really dig and dissect. And what I like to do is find areas that are really sore, and then once I get to that spot, I'm just going to strip through it. I might even do what's called ART. I might contract the muscle, which you need to look this up if you want to try it. Contract the muscle, find a spot that's tender, and now I flex and let the muscle strip underneath my fingers. That's one way to handle it. But definitely, just because the pain's in the elbow, it's not necessarily an elbow joint issue. It's on the condyle. It's actually the muscle itself that is affecting here. This is the byproduct of something being fucked up in here, or something being fucked up even in your hand. So dig deeper. Don't always treat the symptom, treat the surrounding area. As this condition develops over time, because we ignore it, we keep training, you keep lifting weights, whatever you're doing, you're going to start noticing that maybe even extending the elbow is starting to become painful, right? Why is that? That's not the true problem, but for some reason the bicep brachioradialis is starting to get affected. So the meaty part of your bicep over here, from here up here, is now becoming affected. So it's tightening up. So it's like, God, it's like just getting stiffer and stiffer. The side effect of that is now your tricep back here is going to start getting sensitive. So all this stuff will start happening fast, especially if you keep being active. So my quick suggestions to you, you need to massage your forearm and you need to make it uncomfortable. You really need to strip through all that shit. I take a dumbbell and I literally grind it through my through my forearm. I just grind through it. Because this shit hurts, man. It really does, and it can debilitate you. Luckily in Jiu-Jitsu, it doesn't bother me so much because I'm in the mode, so it doesn't really get to me. But after the fact, it definitely does. Medial condylitis is the same thing. You need to work the tissue. So work the soft tissue in the forearm, work the triceps, work even a little bit of the biceps, because the truth is you can take anti-inflammatories. Worst case, you can have surgery, you can have cortisone injections. Cortisone injections will not fix the problem. The theory behind cortisone sounds good, but it won't fix the problem. Not for people like us who are going to continue to be active. If anything, when the cortisone wears off, we're going to be left with more micro tears inside, and then we really will probably have to have surgery for a problem that, unfortunately, can be fixed with rest, but we don't rest. And if you can, good for you. Not many of us can. So, yeah, ibuprofen, Aleve, that shit's going to help a little. Ice is good. Ice will take down the inflammation. Anytime there's inflammation, I imagine in my head there's a fire. We need to put the fire out. I'm not going to put heat on a fire because it's just going to heat it up more. I'm going to put ice on the fire. Doesn't mean you can't use heat. Just means make ice your friend for now, especially if it's after training and you're sore. Some other stuff maybe I want to cover. If you're pain in the elbow, well, first, what triggers this? So, okay, I said gripping a lot. That's what's going to get, because there might be an imbalance here. You might notice your flexors are stronger than your extensors, so it's always causing pulling. But again, let's not get too fancy. I think the problem with a lot of these issues, especially if you start going to physicians, you start going to anybody, they overthink shit. They overthink everything. It's probably like a white belt trying to figure shit out. You're just overthinking it. You simplify the shit, man. It's not that hard. Just common fucking sense, right? So, ice, massage, 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 right? Go see a massage therapist, let them work on you. Stretch it. Again, I'm telling you firsthand, that shit is not really going to make a huge difference. But if it makes you feel better, then go ahead and stretch it. You'll find that they talk about exercises doing this type of shit. Bullshit. You have tendonitis technically, right? Which now they're doing studies and they're finding that tendonitis is actually maybe not so true after all. Tendonitis is only for the first 2 weeks. Then you're looking at more of a biomechanical issue, or you're actually looking at a chronic issue. But that's like, who the fuck knows? Tomorrow could be something different. Anyways, let's simplify it. So let me just cover real quick before we go. If your pain's different, okay, let's say you're having medial pain, because the person I was talking to said they had tennis elbow, but it's on the medial side of their elbow. So that's not necessarily tennis elbow. That could technically be golfer's elbow, so if you're watching this video, treat it as such and start massaging the forearm. Ease away from push-ups and stuff like that that's going to keep you like this, or start doing it on your fist. That's what I do. Or just try to take it easy on that shit, you know. Just don't beat yourself up with that. But if your pain's different, if your pain is inside the medial elbow, and you notice it's kind of like a, that's the best way I can describe it, like a toothache. It's more of a throbbing, just a bitch, right? You notice it especially, bang, when you throw a punch. God, damn. That's probably not so much soft tissue. You might, who knows how this happened? It could have happened from hyperextending your arm during a punch. It could have happened from an overextension in an arm bar. But what you might be facing actually is what they call ulnar nerve entrapment. Again, I don't have any of my books in front of me, and I didn't write any of this shit down. I'm just kind of freeballing it, so you can look into this yourself. But most likely that's what might be going on, is ulnar nerve entrapment. So go ahead and Google that shit. What you need to find is nerve glide exercises. Not a lot of fancy shit. There could just be swelling, and ice it more frequently, because it's real common for the ulnar nerve to get trapped inside the elbow, especially if it's been hyperextended. So a lot of times when there's been trauma to the elbow through overextension, or you oversnapped a punch, or even just a constant beating, or if, let's say you're on your mat and some guy accidentally dropped his knee on your arm, you can, this is like the funny bone, you hit that ulnar nerve and boom, even when I do that there, this shit just feels like an electric shock goes through it. So address that. Guys, I don't want to drag this shit on. I don't know how long we're going, 12 minutes, so it's not that bad, but I know a lot of you don't have an attention span for shit. So feel free to hit me up with some more questions. Tomorrow night will be a different topic, obviously. And I hope I covered enough. I don't want to go into too much detail because you will drill this shit into your head and you'll just go nuts. Because you can easily Google this shit and you will find way too much information. Let's try not to pretend like we're doctors. Even if you have a medical background, even if, I know a lot of shit, but a lot of times that shit, man, throw it out the window and start simplifying stuff, man. Don't overthink shit. That's like bodybuilding, right? They overcomplicate. So now I'm starting to go into a ramble. They overcomplicate shit because shit sells. If we just kept it simple all the time, that shit don't sell, right? Sport jiu-jitsu versus self-defense. Self-defense is probably this big. Sport jiu-jitsu can keep going forever, never. Sport jiu-jitsu sells. That should have been for a rant. Anyways, guys, I hope this helps. Again, feel free. You can do physical therapy for it. It is something you can address. They can do ultrasound. They can do electrical stimulation. You can do all that stuff yourself, too, if you have the devices. Nowadays, that shit's on Amazon. So, not to run myself out of business here. But I know a lot of us don't have insurance, and things are expensive these days. So, soft tissue, work that soft tissue. Find ways to grind into it. A lot of us, again, I mean, I'm beating the dead drum here, but if you're always gripping, right, this is always strengthening. Not much attention's happening here, right? And not many of us do this shit in the gym. Who the fuck does that? When I see guys doing that, oh, God. If you ain't fucking deadlifting and you're not doing stuff, then what the fuck are you working out for? Anywho, so just think about that. Please share my videos. I know I use a lot of profanity, but that's just how I roll. At least I keep it honest and I keep it real with you guys. I don't sugarcoat shit. So feel free to share, feel free to comment, feel free to dislike, feel free to do whatever the fuck you want to do. Alright, until the next episode, I really hope I covered everything for you guys, because there are a lot of you guys that are out there in pain and don't know what to do about this. I hope this helps. Alright guys, until tomorrow we talk about some old school jiu-jitsu. I'll see you then. Peace out, brothers.